Yeah, just show up and they turn it on.
Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the delay. Thank you for sticking in there with us. Today, we are going to talk about collaborating with a team of agents to build intelligent solutions. And really, that's about sort of the workspace and technology changes we've been making in sort of the business transformation space, how we're trying to bring these tools to not just focus just on coding or sort of asset or artifact creation, but really expanding to the entire development process. My name's Clay Wesner. I lead the Power Apps Studio product group. I also have two amazing team members with me today, Mark and Matt, who are going to be demoing. My little clicker is not working. I'm going to come over here. And Mark and Matt are going to be demoing. We've got a ton of stuff packed into the session, so you can kind of understand how it is working today. The good news with everything we're going to be demoing today, basically the assets are either already out in preview regions for you to get hands-on with and start using, or they're available through an early access program to get hands-on and start with it. We're going to kind of break the session up into 3 acts and talk about today. The first is going to be working with this new concept of plans that we've introduced, an artifact to sort of help you go from business problem, idea, and outcome through to a fully deployed solution. Then we'll kind of talk about how we're changing that building and development process to ultimately build agentic and intelligent solutions. And then for the third act, where we want to wrap it up, is really talk about how we've been focused on building in a way that you're ultimately able to deploy this to production in a highly managed, highly scalable way on the platform. And I think, an important sort of disclaimer as we start today, this is not, if you're not familiar with Power Platform or Power Apps, that is totally okay for this session. What you're going to notice is we're going to talk about a lot of concepts that we're expanding where you can work directly with code-first apps. You can bring your own code from other platforms and still benefit from the ideation, the planning, and the building tools on the platform, as well as the benefits of deploying to a fully managed platform in the background as well. So where we're going to start and the way we've sort of been building these new workspaces and frameworks is around really starting that development process and supporting you far earlier. We talk to organizations and enterprises today. They're starting with what is that business process that we want to improve? What are the outcomes that we're trying to drive? Identifying those improvements, looking at where we need to enable tech, where AI and agents can play a role in those solutions, ultimately building and deploying them, realizing benefits, and then repeating that process again and again. Typically, a lot of the tools that we've released on the platform are very much focused on that build and deploy steps. What we've started to invest in and recently introduced in this concept of plans is how do we support this entire development process for you on the platform and keep it sort of connected and workable in one place. So at Ignite last year, we announced plans in Power Apps, this concept of both the artifact and the workspace where you can work through this digital transformation process in one place. We're extremely excited this week that we brought this to general availability. It is available now in prod for you to get your hands on. What we're going to talk through today is show you a lot of those updates, how plans are working today, and then a lot of the new capabilities that we've rolled out this week. As I mentioned, this is out. It's in preview today. Organizations like EY, Accenture, Heineken are already using plans in their development process. And we're starting to see a lot of trends, ultimately just that acceleration to value, how it's helping them get through those development steps and development tasks a lot quicker. But we're starting to see it used in a few different ways. And the benefits that not necessarily we were initially planning, but as customers are getting hands-on, where they're starting to use it more and more. The first couple ones there are really around this idea of outcome-driven development and keeping those roles, business problems, and scenarios throughout the end-to-end development process. What you're going to see in the demos today is that starting from that initial ideation, the roles, the requirements, basically that same context is kept throughout the entire development process. So even once you've deployed it 6 months later, you can come back to an app, understand who it was built for, why it was built, and in that single context of the plan. The second area that we're starting to see really exciting around this is this idea of reimagining processes and legacy applications. And so customers are coming with either processes that they haven't touched in a long time, legacy applications that they want to migrate to the cloud or newer technologies, or where they want to accelerate their agent and AI adoption. What you're going to see in the plans today are, a lot of capabilities you can use, like upload your existing processes, and our agents will actually recommend improvements, recommend where agents or AI could play a role in it. Or you can even upload screenshots of legacy applications, and we'll break that down and propose replacements on the platform as well. So this idea of quickly accelerating migration and modernization projects. The last, and one of the more interesting ones that we've seen customers start to do a lot of, is leveraging plans for this workshop and ideation process. So as they're starting to engage with business users on a net new concept, using the plan and the agents within the tool to ultimately work through the business problem with the end user, break it down to what should be built, even before they start jumping into technology. So this is what you're going to see a lot of today. This is what we refer to as the Plan Designer, plans within Power Apps. And really it is meant to be this collaborative space where you're working with other members of your team, other developers, and this specialized team of agents. So on the left-hand side, you see this editable document view. This is the output of the agents as you're working through the process, requirements. You can interact with it, you can change it. It is meant to be a collaborative space between you, your team members, and your agents. And on the right-hand side, you're seeing your technology artifacts grouped and sort of arranged by your business process. So rather than just a big long list of artifacts or files sitting in a repo or in a solution, they're grouped and framed by how you actually operate within the business and how those processes hang together. And at the same time, it's a live environment where other developers, end users, and your other agents can then work in real time alongside you. When we talk about the agents that you're going to be working with, there are 4 in market today that you'll see we're going to demo today, and this is an area that we're going to see continue to expand. The first one is around requirements. This is taking a business problem, breaking it down, and understanding the roles and the requirements involved in it. The process agent, which we just announced this week and is in preview, basically takes those requirements and roles and actually maps out visual business processes for you to work through. The data model agent will take those requirements and propose a holistic data model and a visual ERD for you to work over and build your data model in the cloud. And then the solution agent looks at all of that information and proposes a comprehensive solution including UX, automation, agents, sites, and reports that you can then go into the design or the creation experiences to actually start building. We talk about this as a collaborative experience very, very deliberately. It is not meant to be a wizard. It is not meant to be you put in one output and suddenly you get a perfect solution at the end. It is designed as a workspace for you to work alongside other developers and agents, and ultimately for them to help you in these specialized areas. And we say that because the agents are not going to get everything right initially. They're not always going to understand your business perfectly, but they're designed to be collaborative. So in this case, the GIF running is, it's come back and proposed a solution for me, including an app and a flow. I can just ask it and say, actually, I want agents, I want a website, and I want reports as well. The solution agent will re-engage, rework my solution, and expand. And I can do this at every step of the process. And Mark is going to show you a lot of that today in how it is designed and how it operates as sort of an iterative and very editable workspace. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of the lay of the land, and then we're going to jump into a demo. This will make a lot more sense once you're seeing it in action. So where you start is from this idea, a business problem, a visual of your process, a drawing on a whiteboard, whatever sort of input, however simple or however complex you want to get started with. And then basically the Plan Designer will take you through sort of various focuses. The first is going to be expanding on those roles and requirements, giving you a visual representation of those processes, completely editable. You can either work with the agent or you can work with it like Visio and edit those processes in line. Similar with a data model, it'll do an initial proposal. You can leverage existing tables or data that you might have, or it can create new ones for you. And then last but not least, this technology solution, where it will actually come back and propose, here are the apps, here are the agents, here are the sites, here are the reports. Here's basically all the different elements of this technology solution based on the requirements that you've proposed. Now, once it's gone through and done that, you sort of choose how and when you implement those individual objects. So you don't have to do it all in one shot. You can start with a particular technology element first. And then if you are familiar with working with Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages, you can then launch from these AI-assisted workspaces into the designers that you would know and be familiar with today. So you still get the full capabilities of apps, of flows, of sites, of reports in the background, but that initial sort of ideation and creation process has been driven by the plan. You're also going to hear us talk today about not just low-code objects, but using generative code and generative pages, or bringing your own code from another tool and introducing it into these solutions as well. The idea then is that business context, your knowledge and data, and your technology all sit in one cohesive asset that is ALM ready to be deployed, and keeps that context in one single place and one sort of editable and iterative workspace for you to continue to evolve your solution, regardless of that technology implementation that you might be using. So, for those of you that are familiar with plans, this is really just what we've changed, the major announcements for us this week, and then we're going to jump into a demo. The first is general availability. We are now generally available, so we very recommend it, support it in production uses of plans. We are rolling out literally this week. There is a slight gap for the Build conference, but if you go to make.preview now, you can see it. Everything else will be in make.powerapps next week. We introduced the process agent, so mapping out these requirements and showing you sort of rich processes, giving them editable. This was introduced this week as well. We now, as part of the solution, don't just propose apps and automation. We also include agents, we include sites and reports, and support for generative pages, and support for bringing your own code as well. So a much more comprehensive solution. We now support the use of existing solutions and assets. So if you are already using the platform, you can leverage these assets that have already been deployed. You can start building plans off existing solutions as well. And then last but not least, we've continued to expand our geo support. We've added support for 21 additional languages as we move to GA as well. So globally available from the Plan Designer. So Mark is going to join us on stage and take over with our first demo of working with agents to create a plan.
All right. Thanks, Clay.
Mark.
All right.
Is it on now? Yeah. It was my fault, wasn't it? Thank you.
I'm going to ask my friend Matt to come out and help me out.
Two, please.
All right. So when you start with a plan, you start with a business problem, and you describe what problem you want to solve. So in this case, my beverage company wants a solution to manage customer sales orders. The company has a trade agreement and stipulations for customer orders. The solution should include a process to validate every sales order that comes in and approve or reject the order based on the attached agreement. The solution should also include an automated way to answer customer inquiries. So I just described what I want the software to do. In this case, I mentioned some attachments. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to add an image of our agreement here. And I'm also going to add an image of a process that was scratched out on a napkin or a whiteboard. I'm going to go ahead and include our preview features and click send. And immediately, you get a team of agents that Clay referred to, requirements agent, our process agent, our data agent, and our solution agent helping out. And right now, our requirements agent has kicked in. And with that set of information that I've provided, it's starting to provide user personas, right? Descriptions of what those users do, as well as the user requirements that that we want to build so the users can do their work. And now the process agent has kicked in. And the process agent is then going to look over those requirements and then organize them around business processes. And as we continue on through the flow of this, you will also see that over time, the process agent will then map the technologies, the data and the technologies that we propose into those processes, right? So the process agent is continuing to help us all along. So I'm looking at the user personas, the requirements, and it looks pretty good, but you don't have to accept the defaults, right? This might not be exactly what you need. So you can edit it. You can add user roles. If we got something wrong, you can come in here and delete entire user roles. You can create new requirements above or below here, and you can delete individual requirements. But Matt, I think we got this close, but I feel like something's missing.
Well, as we get into the generative pages piece, I definitely know the sales reps need a nice way to visualize their sales orders.
Okay.
And one way to start would be to show them on a calendar. So if you can add that user story, we'll make sure we get that captured in the app we build out.
All right, so show sales orders on a calendar. Matt, keep me honest as I'm doing this, right?
Perfect.
Feel free to chime in. All right, so I'm going to keep this. But before I say it looks good, I want to actually take a look at one of these processes. So it's provided an order placement and validation process, and it's also provided a customer inquiry management process. So if I come in here and I zoom to fit, and then I'll zoom in as well, you see that we have a graphical depiction of the business process to solve these requirements, right? And much like the requirements and the personas themselves, you can make this your own. So I can come in here and I can delete this, right? I can come in and I can reconnect it here. I can do lots of things manually, right? But I can also, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. I can manually add steps. I can come in and add decisions. This one takes a second sometimes. Add events, or I can just talk to the Copilot. And I want to get back to where I came from, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit here and talk to the Copilot, right? So I'm going to say, add a review below this step. When I click that, takes a second or two, but it's reasoning over all the requirements, the existing process, and it's figuring out how to add this for me. Again, if you don't want to talk to a Copilot, you can manually add these things. But we've got our order review back there in the process now. All right, so when I click back, we're back into this view, and I'm going to say, you know what, this looks good. Now, it's going to say, hey, you changed a bunch of stuff. Do you want me to regenerate? In this case, I'm going to skip that step because it takes some time, because I just effectively reset it back to where we started. But if you had changed it, it will then go through the requirements and the processes you changed, and then start to help you with the next set of steps. All right, so immediately it starts proposing a data model. So I'm going to slide this over so we get a little bit of real estate, and I can look at the details. And so this is what we call Data Workspace, and I'm just going to start by taking a look at the data. So when we generate or propose a data model, we also propose some sample data for you. So as you're building things out, you have data to get started. You can use the Copilot to add tables, remove tables. If you look at prompts here, you can see all the different things that the Data Workspace Copilot will do. But to keep it simple and keep moving things along, I'm just going to ask it, some more sample data?
Always.
All right, so I'm going to say add 5 more rows of sample data to every table. And boom, the Copilot's working. So I can manually add rows. I can manually add new columns with all the Dataverse types you would expect. I can interact with the grid. I can delete columns. I can insert columns here. I can edit columns in their data types, right? Again, the Copilot might not get this right, but you have all the power to really make it what you want to create. I can maximize this because we're going to get more data, so I can see all my data, right? It went ahead and added data to all of our tables. I'll go ahead and close that out. I can do things like create a new table through description right in here. So I already started with descriptions, but maybe it didn't get everything right, so I want to provide more context and add more tables. Or I can manually create tables, right? Or I can start with an Excel file and create a table from an Excel file and bring that data in. Do the same with a SharePoint list. I can add existing tables in my environment, right? And in this case, I'm going to grab the account table. And you notice that it's green, and that just signifies it's an existing table versus a proposed table. And I can come in here and I can create relationships. I can do it more in a manual fashion, or I can drag and drop. Now in this case, I don't actually need the account table to solve this problem, so I'm going to remove it because the data model that's being proposed works for me. How about you?
Yeah, it's pretty nice though that I can obviously add in the tables. I'm not always going to start from something brand new. I'm linked to existing stuff, so very nice addition, I think.
Right on. So I'm going to come back to the overview where we can see the plan, and this looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and keep moving, and immediately the plan designer recommends a set of technologies through the solution architecture agent, right? So we've got a few apps here, some flows. We've got some Copilot Studio agents, but I like this, but I think we need more, Matt. What do you think?
Let's see it.
Let's see, what about a Pages site,
Oh, okay, yeah. all
Power
right.
BI report?
Both of them.
All right, it's Power Platform, right? So let's go ahead and edit this. I'm going to say add a Power Pages site, add a Power BI report. And surprisingly, it does pretty well with typos, although I got things right. So it's going to, again, reason over the personas, requirements, processes. I asked it some very generic things, and it's going to try to create some appropriate proposals based on the information we have, all the context we have, and then the information I provided. All right, so now we have a Power Pages site and a Power BI report in our proposal. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to say it all looks good. And at this point, we want to start generating things. But everything here is backed by data. Right? It's backed by the tables that we need to create in Dataverse. So in order to start creating, we're going to save these tables. So when I click Save, it asks me where do I want to save this to. And it brings up this word solution. Matt, do you know what a solution is? Do most people know what a solution is?
I have a vague understanding, but I can always learn a little more. Tell me a little bit about
The
it.
good news is you don't need to know what a solution is, right? You just click Save, and all the stuff the plan designer does goes into this container we call a solution. Now, for those of you who know what a solution is, you know it's much more than a container, right? And I'll get to that in a second. But so for you advanced users, we can do things like set the preferred solution. We can pick the publisher, which is already pre-configured for me in this case. Or we can say, I want my plan and all of the things that get generated to go into an existing solution I already have. But I'm going to save a new one. And when I click Save, I'll talk a little bit about what solutions are now, because this process takes a little bit of time. All right. So solutions in Power Platform, as I mentioned, allow you to take all of the things you're building and organize them into one container, and then move them from your dev to your test to your production environment to enable application lifecycle management. And that's one of the things that we've done with the plan designer is ensure that everything the plan designer produces is healthy for ALM, which means not only can you do application lifecycle management, you can take advantage of the new native source control integration that was mentioned this week that Marcel, Casey, and Grant will talk about in a little bit more detail in their session tomorrow. You can use pipelines for Power Platform for all the deployment automation and all the tools we've always had around solutions to enable all of this. And so when I switch over to Solution Explorer, or the object view, we see this solution, this main solution that the plan designer is putting everything into. And as of right now, I just have a plan, a data workspace, that was that diagram, and my plan artifacts, right, the proposals. So why would you do this? Why would you take effectively your documentation about the stuff that you're going to deploy and ship it with the stuff that you're going to deploy? How many people have admins who manage environments that have hundreds of apps or tens or hundreds of solutions in them, right? Do those admins know what's in your solution? When they go look at Solution Explorer, do they know what they're looking at? Now they have the plan designer because they can just come in, click on the plan, and they can see everything about what you've built from business problem to personas to a visualization, et cetera. And our tables are done, right? So the tables have been created. So if I come back over to the plan designer, we now see that the process has lit up green, right? And if I scroll down, all the tables have lit up green, right? So dark or gray represents a proposal. The highlighted colors represent something that's been created. And I can start to view this process and see where things are starting to be used. I can see where the proposed items are, et cetera. And as I generate things or create things, they will light up in the process view as well. All right, so I think we should create something, right? Other than tables. What do you think?
Let's build some technology.
Let's go with agent?
Let's build an agent.
All right, so we're going to go with an agent. So we're going to take this agent, and we notice that the agent is proposed to use two tables. And this is an agent to provide automated responses to customer inquiries and assist with order status and cancellations. So I'm going to have the plan designer help me create it. And what it's doing is it's taking me to Microsoft Copilot Studio and creating a Copilot Studio agent. And it is going to pre-configure the agent with context from the plan designer as instructions to how to create the agent and knowledge, those tables, to use with the agent. So we auto-generate all of this stuff for you. And of course, because this is all backed by solutions, if I come over to the objects view and I click on the agent, we now see, if it worked, and it gives me a second, let's try again. We should see, there we go. We now see an agent. We see a Copilot Studio agent in my solution that is already ready to be packaged and deployed in a healthy state from one environment to another. Now, notice that I have this checkbox that says only show objects in the plan. We recognize that some of you, solutions might be a little overwhelming to start. So this checkbox just ensures what you see on the graphical surface is what you see in this view. But those of you who know what solutions are know that there's a lot more under the hood than just this. So when I uncheck it, we see the agent components show up. And this pattern will continue. As you build Power Automate flows, the connection references won't be at the high-level view, but when you uncheck, they will be at the detailed view. As you build Canvas apps that use environment variables, same thing, right? So we do this one-to-one mapping of the high-level graphical surface to the Solution Explorer, and then a drill-down mapping so you can see everything that the plan designer is helping you create. All right. So we created an agent, so let's jump back over. And as I mentioned, there's our instructions. So the context from the plan, I hand it over to the Copilot Studio agent in the creation process, and the agent has been given some instructions. We're pre-configured with the customer table and the customer inquiry table for knowledge. And I can come in here and make it my own again, and I can upload additional documents. Oh, I don't think I have that there. There it is. All right, additional documents, et cetera. Now, I'm not going to do this because we got a lot to get through still, but this would add more knowledge to that Copilot Studio agent. And it's really simple. All right, so I can, of course, ask this Copilot, how many customers are there? And I'll leave the typo, right? It's usually pretty good about figuring these things out. And if we did everything right, it was 10 customers, so it should tell us that we have 10 customers. But you can test that agent right in this experience, right? So, yep, it told us we have 10 customers. So we'll go ahead and close out of here. And as I mentioned before, what we'll see in just a second, hopefully, got something to fix after the session. So usually what will happen is the agent will light up color because it's with a color because it has been created now. So we're going to create one more thing that then once we do, Matt's going to help us in the next section really dive into. All right, so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to look at this order management. Nah, not that one. It doesn't use a lot of tables. Let's use the customer order management one. Uses 2 tables, so we'll create that. And what this is doing is creating that new app that you saw if you attended Ryan Cunningham's session, right? This is an app that is intelligent by default, agentic by default, backed by Microsoft Copilot Studio that gives you a set of in-app agents and an agent feed to help you really work with the intelligent app. And it's got a new look and feel. It's got icons for tables. You can see right within here, we have things like row summary pre-configured. We've got plan details, right? So all that stuff brought into the plan, from the plan designer into this maker experience, and the app itself is intelligent by default.
Awesome.
Right on. Thank you.
So let's invite Clay back out.
Yeah, no,
We'll
clap.
Yep. You're going to recreate, and then we're going to build an app after.
You guys can go take a breath.
Perfect.
I'll talk for a little bit. Yeah, thank you, Mark and Matt. And so I think, really, obviously, quick demo. We cut through a lot there. But starting from that idea, that business problem, a drawing of a process, understanding those requirements, the roles, the process, and then getting to a point where I'm accelerating creation of agents, even getting an understanding, helping me navigate where agents can play a role, where AI can play a role in my solution, and then really jump-starting me into that creation process. A few notable things that were very strong areas of feedback for us during the previews was existing table support that we introduced as we came to GA. So you're not just creating new assets as part of this plan process, but you're able to reuse and leverage those assets within your organization. We expanded the solution agent. So not just building UX and automation, but adding support for sites, for agents, for reports into this model as well. And this will be an area that we're going to continue to expand. We have a fine-tuned model that we're building in the background that is trained with thousands of examples, good and anti-patterns of where technology can be applied based on the user requirements. And so what this agent is doing is it is going through those roles, those requirements, and the processes, and mapping out and proposing a technology stack that it believes best meets those solutions. We're going to continue to expand the types of technology that we recommend here, and also the quality as we learn over time and continue to improve this. But this agent is ultimately meant to help you with best practices of where is the best application of this technology to the requirements that you're building in the background. You also saw Process Agent in there. This is what took those requirements, helped you map out visual processes to build in as part of your solution as well. And the process is not just something that gets generated in a visual. We obviously use the agent for generation. You're able to then do manual or AI-assisted development depending on, changes depending on how you prefer to work. But what you can also then start seeing is that direct connection to technology. So as you go and build UX, automation, as you go and build agents or deploy your own code, we maintain that link directly back to the process step. So then as again, trying to bring that business context back into your solutions, I can actually go sit down with a business user, sit down with a department lead, look at a business process and understand which roles are interacting with which parts of the solution and at which steps of the solution they're interacting with them as well. So we are going to jump back into demo. Matt and Mark are going to join us again. And now we're going to jump back into that app and start looking at some of how we're building the agentic solutions and the generative pages as well. Matt and Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Clay. All right, everybody. So we're going to rapid fire. Pay attention. We're going to build a full app. We're going to build this all live. There will be some failures. We're going to correct those failures together, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. Before I get in and we build the app and we show some of the pages we're going to build, how many of you saw generative pages so far? Do you guys know what that is yet? Or are you hearing it for the first time? Show of hands. Not very many? Okay, that's fine. That's good. You're going to get a rapid fire look at how we build out these pages. So this is the app that Mark had just created. It's got things like that trade agreement that he started with. And the only thing I've changed in this app is instead of that sample data that he had created, we connected this to real data. So you can see there's 500 rows in here, but that's it. This is a blank app. It's a really great agentic app out of the box. We can ask immediately questions about it. He showed the row summary. I can do things in here like show orders over 7K, for example, using some vernacular here, like, we would speak to each other like 7K, 7,000. And it's instantly going to filter down to the rows that have just this total net value over 7,000, which is cool. That's nice. I could have done this before, a little click-heavy way, add filters. It is nicer seeing it in this natural language. But then I can do some other cool stuff, like grouped by credit status. And you'll see I get a nice autocomplete by the columns. And when I give it some instructions like grouped by, it can use that as a hint, like, hey, maybe a visualization will be helpful here. And it might choose one here. If it doesn't, I'll explicitly ask for it, say in a pie chart. But yeah, you see it's picking up. Oh, and then the preview. We're going to run the app, and we're going to show it in a second. There are some bugs in this preview environment in the builder experience, but we will run this app, and we will get to see it. But really nice that these agents are built out of the box, and they help you visualize your data, filter your data, a whole bunch of things like that. We saw the summary experience that Mark had showed. Like right here, I can quickly click on one of these rows and see these things. So this is a good user experience. I mean, this is like pretty amazing that the plan built a lot of this stuff. I literally just connected it to my Dataverse data. But let's actually build out one of those pages. And what Mark added on my request was the ability to see these orders in a calendar. That's a nice way to see things that I want to just kind of see what orders you're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and build that. And you can see I see my plan details here. Here's the pages that it recommended. I can also refer back to the user roles. This is just a helpful way for me to refer back to what was created in that plan. So that's nice to see. But let's go ahead and build a page. And when I click build a page here, it's immediately taking me into this experience we call generative pages, or just simply describe the page that you want. And we're going to build this within just a few words. And we're going to not even make it any fancier than Mark added there. We're going to show a calendar of, and then when I hit slash, I will get a autocomplete experience offering me access to those tables that I had created. And so in this case, real sales orders was that table. And that's all I'm going to say. Show a calendar of real sales orders. Now the describe a page, the agent itself is going to take those just few words, break down, what do I mean by that? What might I mean by a calendar?
Hold on.
Yeah. We're
What is
seeing
that?
real code. Yes, yeah, exactly. You're seeing TypeScript and React. So this is not low code the way you might be familiar with it. This is a new era of low code where it's business user friendly, but generating, using the full power of what you can do in the web. And so what we just saw, live streaming in, and now
Right.
we're seeing a live preview.
React running in Power Platform.
That's right, yeah.
Nice.
React full code. Thank you. And those of you who are traditional low-code users probably don't care about what you're seeing right now. You shouldn't have to. You should get that experience, and we're going to get to it. But for those of you who work with professional developers, you are professional developers, this is good React code. This is modern functional components, use state, use effects, all the things you would expect to see in this code, well commented, all just generated before our eyes. And I promise you, as we build out, we're going to build 4 pages here together.
All right,
I'm
Matt,
pretty sure one of them is going to fail, and we're going to fix it together. But
hold on.
Yeah.
So before I got the low code bug, I wrote code for a living.
yeah.
Can I edit this code?
You can't edit the code yet. So this code, what Mark showed, it's all going to be in that solution. It's going to be part of the application lifecycle management. What we're announcing today, and if you're enticed by what you see, when we get Clay back out here, we will give you a QR code to join the early access preview of this. It goes live next week, and then you'll start to see some of the gaps in the public preview, but it will build real pages. We're going to keep testing, and soon, later this summer, you will be able to even edit the code yourself if you so choose. So here's that calendar. Let's take a look at what it built for us. And I've got a couple pre-built runs here you would see. It's a different calendar every time. That's kind of the power of this stuff, and you can hone it, which is kind of nice. So this one's not too bad, but there's something that I don't necessarily love, especially anyone here who has maybe vision needs. It's not a very good high contrast experience, and so this very light text. So we're going to fix this, and we're going to keep talking. So first of all, I'm going to say it's difficult to read the order text. And what's really nice is I can click on this attach, and I can just add a screenshot. And that's going to automatically take a screenshot of what it's seeing, send that back to the agent so it can figure out, what do you mean by that? Instead of me typing, hey, it looks like it's white text on a very light background, we're just going to send that over. You can see it put in that screenshot. And what's really nice, and I always love this, because what we're going to do is go into the summary here. And you can see what the agent said. I made the sales order chip much easier to read by updating the color to use a solid primary background with high contrast text. Just figured all that out with just a few words. The new appearance will make orders stand out clearly in the calendar. All other features remain the same. And a helpful thing, if you want any further customizations, larger font, just let me know. And it says, hey, your page is being generated. You're watching the code, literally live stream in now. And look at that. Pretty nice. That was pretty cool. Now we can see it. Let's see if we can click on it. There's some more fun stuff we're going to do, because a calendar is, okay, I mean, this is nice, but is this helping a sales manager at this point? What I'd like to do, and you can see I can click back again. I didn't add it to add month navigation. It's doing all this like real data is pretty cool. But people love drag and drop.
They do?
Drag and drop's hard. As a professional developer, it's really hard in the low-code experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this, I'm going to paste in a couple things. We're going to combine this just to save ourselves some time, because I want to build some other pages. But let me show you what we're doing. We're going to say just support drag and drop between the days. Simple as that. I'm going to add another prompt in there. Add a confirmation prompt before the user drops the order into the new date so that they can confirm it. People accidentally drag and drop all the time. We're just going to double check that's what they want. And so again, reading in what we hear, you can now drag and drop between days. When you drop an order, you'll be prompted to confirm, Orders will update their delivery date. We are going to show that it actually does update the Dataverse data once we do that. And it also some helpful stuff. Do you want multi-select? I love the follow-up prompts. That makes it feel like you really are collaborating with an agent. You know, it's not only figuring out doing what I'm asking, it's suggesting some kind of nice helpful tips. So it's going quick today. I'm very happy with that. And so let's see. Let's take this order that was moved from the 9th, and we'll just drag. We've got a really nice drag experience. That feels pretty dang good. And we'll drop it on the 13th here. And it says, are you sure you want to move order to May 13th? And yeah, we'll hit move. Perfect. I should have added that when we click on it, it will do that. So let's go back to our data. That was 01498. I do want to show everybody that this is for sure updating. So if we go to orders and we go to order, what was it?
Don't remember. Darn it.
1498. Thank you, audience. 1498, like that. We'll see. Let's see if I found it. Order O-, some weird format. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the page and we're going to fix it because we're going to like this. Make it so I can click on an order and it opens up the details page. We're gonna make this right. So without you waiting to see that though, we're gonna make another page. I'm gonna duplicate this. And we're going to build a couple other pages, and hopefully our calendar will come back, because that's what we want to do anyway. I want to be able to actually click on it. So let's duplicate this thing, and we're going to build another page. So pay attention here. I apologize. I will bounce back and forth here, just so we don't have to sit and watch code stream in. But all I've done is duplicate it. We've got our page 1 in here. Let's build another page. And this one is kind of neat. I've just learned this whole concept. Yeah,
So I have
go
a
ahead,
burning
Mark.
question.
Go ahead, Mark.
Right, you showed those cool intelligent controls.
Yeah.
Right? Can I use the intelligent controls in the generative page?
Yeah, that's a great question. So while this loads up, let me answer some of that real quick. What we're going to say, I'm learning data visualization. I'm trying to put on my data scientist hat as we go. Learned yesterday what a tree map visualization was. This is pretty cool. What we're going to say, we're going to show me a tree map visualization ordered by the ship to column. And again, I have to type / here to tell it which table I'm talking about. When a box is clicked, show the list of orders in a pop-up. So we're going to generate that. And this is going to generate a pretty neat visualization of all those orders grouped by the city that they were sent to. And you'll see larger area for larger, and I can kind of navigate in. It's an interactive visualization of seeing my data. To answer your question though, Mark, right now you can use a handful of built-in libraries that we've added, the full Fluent Control library, a handful of even Material UI components. But for those things that we showed, like the summary agent, the visualization agent, our data entry agent for rich form entry, that's not in this preview, but that will be coming up very soon, and that'll really bring these two experiences together. So if you are familiar with Power Apps today, you're familiar with these built-in agents, we're going to bring them into these generative pages, and it would be amazing to see how you guys combine those together. So while that loaded, we got a really cool tree map here. I mean, this is pretty neat. What do you guys think about how long would that take to build in like any other experience?
I know I can't write React that fast, and I can't do Power Apps that fast.
Yeah. And we're going to add one little silly thing here. We're going to just be able to so this is showing me, we're going to add filters to the top to filter by order status. Because it's one thing to have like a visualization, but a lot of times you need that flexibility. I'm not building this just for me. I'm building this for all of my sellers, all of my sales managers out there. So adding in some toggles to tweak the UX is always, that's what really takes these apps and these pages to the next level. It's not just looking at your data, it's interacting with it, modifying it, and building a full app experience. And so with that, we've got these statuses on the top. They are a little bit, we'll see like a little glitch here where it's like, fixed itself. Well, little weird looking there. You'll see some things. But let's see if we can change this. So we've got Boston at 31. Let's just set this to shipped. And as I change it to shipped, you can see now Denver is actually the largest city. So just automatically connecting this stuff in with just a few weeks, iterating on it, kind of going. So pretty neat. What do you guys think about that piece? All right, my friends, we're going to build one other page. This was all Heineken's sales experience, what you're seeing here. Another piece, though, in any kind of manufacturing experience is safety management. So we're going to switch from a seller scenario to just imagine you're on a warehouse floor, you're tracking safety incidents and things like that. And we built this by a plan. Incidentally, here's safety incidents. Oops, we don't want to go there. I want to get back into my page. We're going to build a new one. We're going to build exactly that. I want to show you one other cool thing here. So we're going to build a safety incident tracker like the whiteboard sketch I'm attaching. And so just like I can attach data, I can also attach this image. And I want to show you just how cool this ends up being. So this was Mark and I the other day, whiteboarding this safety incident thing. I want to show high, medium, low, again, like something you would see on pretty much any manufacturing floor. I want it to look like that. And what we're going to do, safety incident tracker, and we're going to type / again to connect it to safety incident. We want to make sure it actually is connected to that data. And we're just going to say, hey, make it look like this, this whiteboard sketch. If this does it right, sometimes it's like incredibly perfect, and my colleagues always tell me like I look a little too surprised when this works. But as someone who's been building this for the last little bit, it is really cool seeing the reliability come up, and we're excited, by the way, to get you guys onto the private preview as we get into this. So we'll see how this comes up. Again, you can always read the summary. I grouped the safety incidents into this. You can drag cards between sections. What you're going to end up seeing is that board. But it's not only just a read-only board. We of course, need to move things section to section. And so once that comes in, we will see, and it says, again, I styled the layout like the sketch. High severity runs horizontally at the top. Others are below. All exactly what I would expect to see. Generating that code. Here's that image a little bigger just so we can see it. It's going to look like that. We'll see how close we get to that. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. There's our safety incident matcher. All right, check that out. Looks exactly like that image there. Pretty cool. What do you think? We can drag it. We can say, look, this signal failure, this is an important thing in a world like that. If you've got a machine that's got a signal thing, we can drag that to high. We've got drag drop, all actually saving back to the data. This wasn't demo data. This wasn't just a UI visualization. Reading, writing, back to data. Real code, we can save it. I'll save you all the time, but we can save and play this. We would see it in the live end user experience. I can literally make this available to my end users right now.
Right on.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think we're going to bring Clay back out.
We are.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Matt and Mark. Okay, we're going to do a couple more slides, and then we will jump straight back into a demo. And so I think, really, really important to understand, we've gone from an idea, a drawing, requirements and process agent has helped me map that back to the business, understand my problem. Data model agent has built out a cloud-based data store for me. The solution agent has actually helped me articulate what should be agentic, what should be UX, what should be automation. And then our app agent has come and actually helped me build that agent out in Copilot Studio. It's helped me build generative pages based on images and descriptions as well. And so that acceleration from a real business problem building through to an intelligent and agentic solution in a really short amount of time. Now, some things that we didn't go through in a lot of detail, but also coming out to public preview, that app that was built also included the agent feed. So that agent that I built for my solution as well for sort of inquiries and order status updates, I get that feed of activity so I can provide oversight directly in my app as well. I also then have those in-app agents for visualization, for data entry, and for actions as well. The app that I'm building is not just a basic visualization of data. I'm not having to program every single function. I'm getting out-of-the-box capabilities for managing and providing oversight over my team of agents operating within my business. I'm also then getting these built-in app agents to just make working over data faster and easier for end users as well. Generative pages as well, huge update out in early access preview at the moment, allowing you to start with images and descriptions to build these highly flexible React pages directly as part of your solution. This is the QR code that Matt was talking about. Out of everything we've shown you today, everything that was in public preview with the exception of the generative page, you do need to join our early access program. So follow that QR link, sign up, and we'll get you in. Before we jump into our last demo, I think one really sort of important aspect that we're showing there is, while obviously these agents have been jumping in, interacting as they need, you've kind of gone through ideas, through to requirements and solutions, and you've ended up building technology. Through that whole process, we're keeping a really structured connection between this context and the solution that you're building. So all the way through, you notice when Matt was in the sort of app designer and he was building his generative pages, he had the context of the plan on the left-hand side. He could see who he was building it for, the requirements, and the processes that it was connected. So as you're building out this solution, we're maintaining that connection for you in the background. You're not also maintaining a complex ADO structure on the side and manually entering information. You're not trying to keep it connected in a Word document or a OneNote. So as you go through this iterative development process, these agents are not only helping you produce this content and sort of assist in the development process, they're also maintaining this connection throughout the end-to-end for you as well. Okay, we are going to jump into a quick 5 to 6, maybe 7-minute demo as we wrap up. No, you've got a bit of time. Let's go 7 or 8 minutes. And we're going to now look at, now that we've built that solution, how have we built it in a way that's manageable, scalable, and deployable as well?
All right.
Take it away, Mark.
So I'm going to pick up from the app creation, and we will go back to the plan. And yes, the app did light up. So, and you can see that app is now in the solution. All right. But so far, we've been talking about first run experiences, building brand new things. What if you have existing things that you want to bring into the plan, right? Like an app. So we have the ability to come in here. Let me kind of get a little bit more real estate here. And I'll take one of these apps, and I will say replace with existing. So if you have an existing app, you can do that. And notice this says code app. This is a little bit of a tease for Marcel, Casey, and Grant's session tomorrow that has the word DevOps in it. They will be talking more about code-first apps. You saw us create React code within the Maker experience. You can create purely React apps over Power Platform connectors and deploy it to Power Platform now. That was announced on Monday, and they will go into this in much greater detail. But I'm going to go ahead and add that. Oops, I didn't mean to create. So let's stop that. I'm going to replace with existing, and I'm going to select that code app. And we have a little icon that shows that. So what are these apps? Well, if I look over here, and I just type the word, sorry about that, I didn't set it up, equip. Oh, am I on the wrong screen? Well, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep going. This is an example of an app that was built purely in React, right? And then deployed to Power Platform. It's running in a Power Platform environment. It is a Power App written in React. So please make sure you go take a look at that session. You can add those existing app types to the Plan Designer, right? But there's more. So I mentioned that everything's been first run. But that means that you can only use the Plan Designer if you're creating something brand new, right? No. If you have an existing solution, you can create a plan from it. All right, so I'm going to come over here to the equipment checkout system, and I'm going to create a plan. And this is looking into my solution at the tables and the apps to start. We will expand this over time. And it is creating a plan, materializing a plan from the solution. And so it figured out the business problem just from the apps and table names and some descriptions that exist there. It figured out the user personas and the user requirements that are already implemented in these apps, right? And because I can now save this, it's going to prompt me to save it into the same solution that was an unmanaged solution that I started with. And when I do that, I now have a solution in the same state with a plan that I had already created the solution itself, but it now has a plan. It's in the same state as if I would have started with a plan. So you don't have to start with a plan, and you can bring a plan into something you've already created. And when I do that, of course, you will see that we have a plan in the solution now. And I can also come in and I can make it my own, because we want the Plan Designer to be something that you come to plan, build, test, deploy, monitor, and repeat over and over again as you build your end-to-end solution to solve your business problem. So I'm going to ask it to add another Canvas app. And when I do that, now I'm iterating on something I had already built with the plan, just like I can iterate on something that I created with the plan. Looks good. So I'm going to keep that. And now I'm going to replace this with an existing app. And I'm going to take this thing called existing Canvas app. What's going on here is this existing Canvas app is living in a separate managed solution, right? So those of you who know solutions, this will make sense. Those of you who don't, that'll be something for you to kind of dive into. But when I do that and I click Save, the plan is now associated with multiple solutions. Multiple solutions. So a plan can have multiple solutions associated with it. And when I come over to the solution view, you will see it is refreshing here, and you will see a tab show up in just a second. Got to fix that too. All right. But what you should have seen is that solution that the app is in show up here. And then now this is how we associate a plan to multiple solutions, and you can navigate all the different pieces. Now, if you're building something unmanaged, we still recommend you put everything into a single unmanaged solution. But if your base tables in a managed solution or some extensions are in another managed solution, you can have all of those things associated and surfacing into the plan experience itself. And as I mentioned, all of this is ALM healthy from the start. So if I come over into Traditional Solution Explorer and I expand this, all right, we can see, come on tab, go away. All right, I'm going to come into the source control view. So this is something you can learn more in Marcel, Casey, and Grant's session. But because I started with an existing plan, a solution that was already configured for source control integration, and all I did was add a plan, you can see just the changes that I've added to this solution. And I can take this plan and commit it to source control. I can say added a plan. And when I click commit here, this is taking just the things that I've changed, putting them in an Azure DevOps Git repo, right? And then I have granular line by line, commit by commit change tracking of everything I've done through the Plan Designer, through our support with solutions, right? And by doing that, not only can I integrate with native source control integration, but I can now use pipelines for Power Platform to deploy everything that's in my solution from dev to test to prod. So the Plan Designer really becomes the place where you start with a plan, you build, test, deploy, and monitor, and you learn from your end users and your monitoring of the things that you've built to continue to iterate by coming back to the plan, continuing to build, test, deploy, monitor, and continue to repeat that cycle. And so if I click on this commit, those of you who don't want to look at code, close your eyes. But those of you who do, right, we're in Azure DevOps, and you can see the code for the plan, which is just a JSON document, right? And when I close this out, if I come over to deployment, I can now take the solution that contains my apps, my flows, my tables, my agents, everything that is in that solution, and I can deploy it with pipelines for Power Platform, right? ALM healthy from default, setting you up for success all through the power of plans. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Clay.
You're making me nervous with timing. You did great. In the 1 minute that we have to wrap up, I think, again, really strong feedback from us from the preview program, the ability to create plans and generate from existing solutions. We want plans to be accessible to every developer on the platform. It is not just a creation experience, regardless of where you are in the development cycle. You can get started. We take those assets from solutions, dependencies, and component details, run it through our requirements and process agents to actually generate that plan, so you can start leveraging all of these capabilities that we've talked about today. Also then just support for your existing assets, not just tables, but reusing those apps and introducing them as well. Multiple solution support, so it is reflective of how you're actually managing your solution and ALM practices. practices today. The other one that you would have seen in multiple sessions this week, hopefully if you're not, have a look online, the ability to deploy your own code to the Power Platform, bring your own code. And so you can deploy this in another tool, go build it in Visual Studio, and then still leverage the fully managed platform for security, deployment, and scalability as well. Even if you bring your own code, you can still link those assets into the Plan Designer, using it as part of your technology proposal and get the benefits of this tooling. And everything that you've built, as Mark talked about, packaged in an ALM ready and securitable way to be deployed onto the platform. So as we close and wrap up, as you're looking at plans, the easiest way to think about it is bringing in that business context, the end-to-end development process, your roles, requirements, and process, working with these AI-assisted development in your agentic workspaces to build, whether it be apps, whether it be agents, bringing your own code, working with generative pages, and then ultimately deploying it to a fully managed platform. And doing all of that in this collaborative workspace alongside agents and other developers. We really, really appreciate you spending the time with us today. Go to aka.ms/letsbuildaplan, and you can get hands-on with everything we've shown today. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of Build.